Hello and welcome to a friendly chat. This week we're going to be talking about comics again. Now, I had a few ideas of what I wanted to talk about with this video, and initially I was going to talk about John Byrne and cover a bunch of his famous runs, and ones that I really liked and ones that I have in my collection. But I decided something a little bit different. I am still going to talk about John Byrne, but I'm going to pick one run in particular, and that run is X-Men: The Hidden Years. Now, I'm sure a bunch of people watching this will be going, really? Why? By comparison to some of his more famous X-Men run or his Fantastic Four and that, it's very low on the totem pole. But bear with me, and I'll explain why I find this run fascinating. So join me, will you?
And now the news. Don't touch that dial.
So X-Men is an interesting title, and a little bit of backstory, which isn't a secret. Most people know this. The series went for an initial run in 66 issues before it being unceremoniously cancelled. Rather than just like that's it, throw it all out, it's all done, we're never doing X-Men again, Marvel decided to basically try to save some money and get some money back on a regular basis by reprinting issues. So between 67 and 93, they reprinted, which is an interesting idea. And that's not the first, well, it's not the only time Marvel have done that. They had Marvel Tales where they reprinted a lot of Spidey and stuff like that. But Spidey was still going. This was like reprinting a series that technically had failed in many ways, but they kept it going because it was still making some sales on a regular basis. Then Len Wein and Dave Cockrum were given an opportunity to retool the series. They did Giant Size X-Men 1. They introduced a new team, which was mostly international characters. So you had Nightcrawler from Germany and Storm from Africa and Wolverine from Canada and Banshee from Ireland, although Banshee had already been introduced to the X-Men, but he was now part of the team. And Colossus from Russia. So yeah, you had this really cool international team. Oh, Thunderbird. Yeah, that's right, Native American. Sunstar. Sunfire, sorry, not Sunstar. Sunfire from Japan. So yeah, they had this really cool international team. It was they went on a mission to rescue the original X-Men, and at the end of it, it's like, right, cool. We're gonna form this new team is gonna keep on going, and they continued from '94 onwards, and it was all new, all different for a while, and then eventually Uncanny. So I was, I've mentioned this, I was late to the X-Men party. I didn't read my first X-Men issue until 217. So yes, Dazzler versus the Juggernaut. But I worked my way backwards as much as pocket money would permit, because the further back you go, the dearer they are. And of course, Classic X-Men, which is also a reprint, was a cheap way of getting early issues of All New, All Different. So the idea of a series retroactively set, filling in a gap, was fascinating for me. And this is 1999. This series came out, so this is a while after, quite a while after. Set in the 70s, so there's a series at the end of the 90s with stories that are meant to be set during the X-Men in the 70s. Now, not obviously not the years itself, but just when the title was originally coming out. And it was a great idea, and it worked really well. It was really neat. Byrne's art was really great. He was penciling, he was writing it as well, and Tom Palmer did the inking. And it had a series of great covers. And it was classic sort of storytelling. It was like, it felt like yeah, we're reading old issues of the X-Men where they're dealing with Brotherhood of Evil Mutants and stuff like that. And they were wearing their the costumes that were around the time that that series was set. So around 67, 68, 69, they were wearing all those costumes. And we still had Havoc and Polaris on the team as well. But they also got to do some other interesting stuff. They because stuff had already been set in the after John Says X-Men 1, they could actually still retroactively add in things like, hey, here's an early appearance of Storm, or here's an early appearance of something else. So it was kind of cool for that as well. But yeah, Byrne's art was pretty damn good on this. It's I'm just trying to find the there we go, first cover, which I think is a pretty good cover actually. And like all number one issues, it sort of grabs you because the team's running towards the reader. It's very reminiscent of the first issue of X Factor actually, other than you got Charles in the background going think with his telepathy. But yeah, it's has a fascinating concept. Now the trouble is that they needed like Byrne basically said that he could have done 100 issues set in this time period, and the last issue was always a fixed point, which is like the X-Men go to Krakoa, which is where they got captured in John Says X-Men 1. That is fascinating in itself, but it didn't need 100 issues. It only needed 27 to perfectly fit the gap. Unfortunately, Marvel retooled the X-Men, and the series got cancelled at issue 22. So with five issues of a perfect fit. But regardless of that, those 5 issues, without those 5 issues, it doesn't really matter. It's still 22 issues of new storytelling set in a time period, in a gap between 66 and 93, where the X-Men are doing heroic stuff as they did in accurate uniforms, accurate looks, and and accurate villains and stuff. So it was really fun. So yeah, for example, I've got some examples. There we go. Storm appearing, talking to Beast, and it's Storm from basically her look from Giant Size X-Men 1 before she joins the team, where she's the goddess that helps the her village. So yeah, there was lots of neat stuff like that. As I said, Byrne's art is pretty good. It's not as sharp as it was during his run when he was working with Claremont, and that could be just down to how long he had to work on it, or Tom Palmer is not the same sort of inker as he was used to back in the day. But it doesn't really matter. It's still really good. We've got appearances by the Fantastic Four as well. And that's the cool thing about stuff like this, where they could just go, "Hey, Fantastic Four were doing this back then. Let's have them appeared." Sentinels, of course, and a few different cover variants over there. So yeah, I managed to bind my collection up into one of these hardcovers. That's how I normally do things. But because I'm crazy the way I do that, I actually have it set as volume 3, so it actually slots in straight after 66, and so I have trade paperbacks that would collect it as well. So yeah, it fits right nicely on my shelf after 66 and before Uncanny begins. So yeah, it's a fun series. I do recommend it. I mean, if you haven't read it, or you haven't even heard of it, and I'll admit that probably not a lot of people have heard of it, I do recommend it as a read. If you're a fan of the X-Men, if you're a fan of the original team, nice cover with Angel on there. Yeah, it's great adventures. As I said, nice artwork. Byrne's always really good at layouts of action and adventure, and like that's one of those great things where he will keep you interested in what's happening on the page. And he's always done that, regardless of whether it's Fantastic Four or Alpha Flight or X-Men, Superman, or any of those titles. So yeah, really neat concept. It was almost perfect, so close to being perfect number wise. I mean, even without, we've got Beast being hunted by Craven the Hunter. So yeah, really neat series, and easy to get. It's all 22 issues still readily available. They did do 2 trade paperbacks. Those are out of print though. They haven't been in print since 2012, unfortunately. The trade's pretty good because they have all 22 issues over 2 trades, and they have some crossover stuff with Fantastic Four and some pages from Yellow Claw and Amazing Adult Fantasy 14. So there's a bit of extra stuff in the trades. Probably get them in the secondary market easily enough if you prefer trades to singles. If you're a singles person, they are easily available, all 22 issues. Now, Marvel did a bunch of these sort of titles. They did an Untold Tales of Spider-Man, which was one of their dollar comics, or 99-cent issues, which was pretty good. But X-Men had another bash at it, and they did a series called First Class. And they did several series of First Class. There is a mini-series, like the first series of First Class went for 8 issues, the second series went for 16 issues. Then they did a mini-series called First Class Finals, which went for 4 issues. And that ends with the X-Men going to Krakoa. So if you wanted to, you could slot in First Class Finals after the Hidden Years. You're still missing 1 issue. And yeah, it's a bit of a bummer. If you want a perfect fit. Like there is a Giant Size First Class and a couple of, there's a couple of one-shots you could probably sort of slot in. But regardless of all that, the Byrne run is really cool. It serves a purpose and it fits neatly in. So yeah, you could go, oh, it doesn't quite feel like Roy Thomas's stuff, and sure, okay, it doesn't. But I mean, here's the thing: comics always have new writers and new art teams all the time. So why not John Byrne? But yeah, so that pretty much is what I decided to chat about today. X-Men: The Hidden Years. It's a fun series, and I don't know, it's one that probably doesn't get a lot of notoriety or a lot of love, but I think it deserves a look, especially if you're a fan of the X-Men and you haven't had a chance to check it out. So, yeah, my advice is give it a go if you have access to it. If you are part of like Marvel's subscription service, I think you can probably find it on that for digital. I don't know for sure. I haven't really looked into that, but yeah, I think it's a decent read, and I think it works really well. I said bridging the gap between 67 and 93. So close to being perfect. So close. 5 issues. Come on, Marvel. What the hell's your problem? But I'm going to blame the editor, which was Bob Harris. But, I've talked about Bob Harris in the past. So, but yes. So, X-Men: The Hidden Years. Is it a series you've heard of? Is it a series you've read? If you have read it, did you enjoy it? Please, in the comments, let me know. It's, is it one of Byrne's sort of series that people that are sort of live up to the title Hidden? Like, is it one, oh, I didn't know that existed. I didn't know Byrne did that. I know he did Fantastic Four and X-Men. Yeah, please let me know if it's one of those series that you think deserves a little bit more notoriety. Um, but besides that, um, I personally think it does, and I think a lot of people will probably get a lot of enjoyment out of those 22 issues. So yes, as I like to say, keep on reading, keep on listening, keep on watching, keep on gaming and playing, and keep yourself entertained because there's lots of great stuff out there. Until next time, bye bye.
More updates. Damn the man! Save the Empire!